Hey there everybody, Professor Cloud here with another how-to video, if you will, for the game New World. The previous two videos I've done have been focused around specific skills or specific trade items or trade benches that you're going to be working with within the game of New World. This one, though, is going to be more focused on, let's just call it the basics. I call it the basics because you do get taught a little bit of it at the beginning of the game, but then from there on, you really have to figure things out for yourself. And what I'm referring to is gear management and inventory management. It's one of the things that every MMO, every RPG, damn near every game, you have to really understand and focus on. Everything starts from here. This is the inventory menu of your character. There's a lot here going on, and I want to explain some of it because not all of it is explained, unfortunately, very well during the game. Let's start over on the left-hand side. The left-hand side is what you have equipped. I'm not going to dive into some of this because some of it is fairly self-explanatory. For example, we have all of our armor pieces. Head, chest, hands, legs, feet, and shield if you happen to be doing sword and shield. We then, of course, have two different weapons that you can choose, 1 and 2. We have a heart gem slot, which you can only unlock in the Bright Sands area of the map, which you can't even get to until you hit max level of 60. Hence, why I don't even have it unlocked yet. 4 consumable slots, 2 ammo slots, bow and bullets. Then we have amulet, ring, earring. You do not have access to them from the beginning of the game. You get access to them as you progress. If I remember correctly, it is level 10, level 25, and then level 45 is when you unlock each of those different ones. And then same thing is true for the bags. You get access to the first one at level 5, and then you go from there as well. And you can see I have 3 bags equipped. The next area, though, is never, ever explained. And this is the accumulation, the average of what you have equipped. Your average expertise, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Your average gear score. And then your specific attributes, which is going to be a combination of your leveling, how many points you've put into each specific spot, combined with the bonuses that you're getting from any of the weapons, armor, or the amulet ring and earring, so that you can see what those numbers look like. We also have tools over here, which of course are going to help you be better at things like mining and logging and harvesting and so on. Fishing, which I've done already a video for. And then the last area are your musical instruments, which is something I actually haven't spent any time on yet. I'm going to do that in the future, and maybe I'll do a video for that as well. But the songs actually have benefits on your party, say, for example, before you go into a dungeon. So there is value to working with the musical instruments. Now, I want to go back over here to the average area. The gear score is something that you can see at the top of every single piece of armor and weapon, that, as well as even the amulet, earring, and ring. However, the gear score, much like in the game Destiny, doesn't really tell you anything. It gives you an indication of how high the damage output could be, or blocking, armor rating, what potential bonuses you might get. But at the end of the day, the gear score, it's just a number. I have 100% found gear that has a lower score but better stats than gear with a higher score, depending upon your tiering. That's something that you're going to have to learn to really pay attention to and make your own decisions. But there have been a number of times where I have had a piece of gear that was, say, a tier higher with a higher gear score because of that tier, but the stats, the damage output, the protection, those kinds of things ended up being lower. And at the end of the day, it's those stats that are the most important when actually going up against your enemies. So, the next thing then to keep in mind for the gear is that tier. Up in the top right-hand corner of the actual thumbnail of the piece of armor, the weapon, or so on, is a Roman numeral 1 through 5. That gives you your tiering. That gives you an indication of how good the weapon or armor or wearable happens to be. But, again, it is not 100% foolproof. You can absolutely find a Gear 5 that is not as good as a Gear 4, especially based on the rarity. So you need to pay attention to a combination of the tier and the rarity. The rarity is underneath of the name, but above what type of piece it is. So in this case, you can see that I'm carrying an Epic Round Shield. The Epic means that it's going to be purple. You're always going to be able to pay attention based off of the color. Black is common, or gray, if you will. Green is uncommon. Blue is rare. Purple is epic. Orange is legendary. Right now, I only have 2 pieces of legendary gear. My helmet that I have here that I got from beating Thorpe in the Depths dungeon, and the Frozen Ancient Great Axe of the Soldier, which is a one that I actually bought on the market. So, looking at the tier, looking at the rarity, should give you an indication of how good the piece of gear is going to be. But not, again, not always. You still need to look at the stats. And the stats, in this case for the round shield, start with how much damage it does, the critical hit chance percentage, critical damage multiplier, block stamina, armor rating for both elemental and physical, and then blocking stability. Then we get to the bonuses. The lower the rarity, the less chance of a bonus, but typically from uncommon up, you will get at least 1 bonus. You really want to try and get 2 per piece of gear. It's going to give you the best build overall from a stats perspective, in my humble opinion. So in this case, you can see I've got a +9 on my dexterity and a +4 on my constitution. Right now, I'm running sword and shield. That is my primary. I do also, as you can see, have a hatchet as well as a great axe. But all 3 of those pieces do scale off of both strength and dexterity. So I am absolutely benefiting from the dexterity. And everyone will benefit from constitution. The more constitution you have, the more hit points you get. Then you can see I've got some perks. These perks are completely dependent on the rarity. Green, usually no perk. Maybe 1. Sometimes. It all depends. Rare, 1 perk guaranteed. But possibly 2. Epic, 2 perks guaranteed. Possibly 3. And then legendary, it's always 4. Now, the reason why I say sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, is because they can sometimes replace a perk with a jewel slot. And you can see here on my legendary, I have a jewel slot and 3 perks. So that counts as 4. That's the way that they do that. Then we can go down to the next thing that is never mentioned. And I wanted to make, one of the big reasons I wanted to do this video was to call this out. Bound to player. Many of the weapons, and actually I'll use this one, this rapier here, as a perfect example. I just got this rapier the other day. And you can see down at the bottom where the bound to player was on my shield, it says bind on pickup. The minute that you equip it, it becomes bound to the player. What does that mean? The only thing that phrasing affects is whether or not you can sell it. And they don't tell you that. There's one spot in the trading post when you go to try and sell things there's maybe a blurb at the bottom in very small text that will say you cannot sell bound weapons, armor, and so on. But overall, the game doesn't really tell you that. So, my opinion, the beginning parts of the game, first 50 levels or so, the trading post is not going to mean much to you from a making money perspective. It's going to be a great place for you to buy materials and ammunition and small things that you need as you're going out and adventuring. But you're really going to need to depend on the money that you get from those adventures. You're also going to get a little bit of money from salvaging, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Excuse me for a second. The game is telling me I need to move. There we go. But from a financial perspective, the trading post really only becomes a revenue generator when you get to level 50 and you can start to sell really high level gear. But you're going to sell the gear before you equip it. The only way it's available for sale. Now, I talked about salvaging. Because selling, especially in the early parts of the game, are not really a way for you to go. You're not getting enough gear that's going to want to be purchased. That's where salvaging comes into play. So you'll see I've got a lot of armor here. I'm not going to salvage any of it because I'm actually keeping it here for a reason. However, if I were to say want to salvage this ring, I have not worn it yet. And although the gear score is higher than my current ring, the constitution benefit that I'm getting from the stone-hewn ring that I'm wearing is way better than the plus 12 strength and plus 8 constitution. Plus, I'm also getting a physical ward 3 from a jewel that I have socketed and the hardy perk. So overall, the stone-hewn ring is a overall better ring, in my opinion. But if I were to want to actually salvage this, all I'd have to do is hit the C button. You can see salvage immediately popped up. You can also see there's a list of actions next to the ring, and I can salvage it. When I salvage it, I will get two things. A small amount of money, depending upon the rarity, the gear score, things like that. That is where the gear score will potentially come into play. And then spare parts. Or repair parts, repair parts. The repair parts are all the way down at the bottom of my inventory, right here, as you can see. And you can carry a maximum of 2,000. And then when you need to go to repair, you can either repair one piece at a time. There is a R with a click that will allow me to repair just this shield, which I just did. Confirm. It's going to cost me 1.23 coin and one repair part. Bingo. Or I can go all the way down here to the bottom and click repair all, which will cost me 62 and 44 repair parts. You're going to get enough gear that salvaging will allow you to build up your money. That combined with the money that you get from actually completing quests, that's where the money's going to come from in your first 50 levels. Maybe even beyond. Now, the next thing to talk about is the inventory area. This is one of the greatest things that I think that Amazon Games has done with this MMO versus other games that I've played. And whether it's an MMO or just an action RPG. Their inventory system, menu system is fantastic. It's extremely well organized. You know exactly what type of thing everything is that's sitting in your inventory. And because of these bags, each one of them, as the tier goes up, the rarity goes up, you get more and more weight. When I started out, I only was able to carry 400 pounds. I'm now at 822.8, as you can see up here, based on encumbrance, because of these 3 bags, combined with my strength. But you can see this inventory is huge. So you're going to need to learn what all of these things are. What things do you want to carry? What don't you want to carry? You'll see I'm carrying a lot of cooking stuff right now that's 19 pounds. I need to put that into storage somewhere. Furniture. Oh, I've got a painting to put up. Cool. I didn't even know that I had gotten that. You'll see I've got a lot of arcana here. That is 20.7 pounds. I've got some stone cutting, woodworking, weaving. All of these things are important. You know that they are. They're going to help you with armoring. They're going to help you with your arcana. You're creating a potions. All number of things. Any number of different trading skills. But you can't carry everything. It's just not possible. That's then where storage comes into play. So let me run down here to the closest storage I'm currently in Windsward and specifically Corinth. That is where my first home is, and this is where I'm keeping certain things. I'm keeping my jewels, my smelting materials, leatherworking materials, and so on. So you'll see here I can move my leatherworking, my smelting, jewel crafting, weaving, woodworking, stone cutting. All of this is here in this particular storage. But you'll notice none of my arcana is. None of my cooking materials are. Well, where are they? As you open up the map and go to different cities, you'll go to different locations. This is just me personally, you don't have to follow this. I only put stuff into storage sheds in cities that are being controlled by my faction. That's something that you'll get access to at level 17. I believe it's level 17 you'll get access to that quest. You don't have to follow that. But here's my reagents. So actually, that's not where my reagents are. I didn't mean to do that. But here's where my arcana stuff is. So I'll put that there. And here's where my cooking stuff is. So we'll move the cooking materials over. And now I'm down to 388.4. I've got plenty of room to go out questing and gather more stuff. I've still got other things that I've got 100 pounds of resource materials, and these are used in different things. They are not all tied to one trade skill, which is why they are all the way down at the bottom. I do also want to move that over, and I think that's it. Okay, so you'll see I've got 2 here. I then also have some in Ebon Scale Reach, which you only get access to really late in the game, level 55 or so. But this is where I'm keeping named weapons. So this is something I didn't talk about before. You'll see that my Frozen Ancient Great Axe of the Soldier is legendary. It's a great axe. But it's just a great axe. It's a legendary great axe. It's fantastic, but it's just a legendary great axe. This great axe, on the other hand, is epic, and it's named. There is a step above every single rarity to where it's a named rarity item. That means that it is one of the top 5, top 10 of that type of piece of gear. Those are ones that you want to keep a hold of. They're also ones that you may want to sell. So I've got a lot of tier 3s here that if they're not bound to me, I probably could put them up on the trading posting and make some money off of them because I'm never going to use them. Their rarity is just too low. So something for you to think about as well. Learn what all of the different types of things are. Figure out where you want to store things. You'll see here I've got 600 pounds in Ebon Scale Reach, 645 in Restless Shore, and 700 pounds in Windsward. Not possible for me to be carrying all of that. Even if I had all top tier bags, still would not be possible. You're going to have to use your storage sheds. So learn to do that and learn to do it very early on. All right, let me leave my storage shed here. Now, there's another thing that I want to talk about. And that's here in the rewards section. Once you hit level 55 or so, you are going to get access to gypsum. I have here 6 diamond gypsum that I was able to get as part of an event that is going on right now inside of New World. You may be watching this after this event is long over with. Typically, you can only find gypsum as a drop or as a reward in 55 or higher level quests, dungeons, locations, and enemies. 55 or higher. The gypsums can then be combined together to create gypsum orbs. These orbs can then be used at a special location, and I'm going to go there now to show you. I'm going to go to Ebb and Scale Reach. Here we go. And I'm going to show you the gypsum. Actually, I'm not even sure what its official name is. All right, let me run down. There it is right there. The gypsum kiln. So this is where you can turn gypsum, diamond gypsum, into gypsum orbs. In this case, it's 3 each. Each one of them has a different amount that's required based off of the type of gypsum. So it's 3 obsidian, only 1 sapphire. Obviously, then, they're going to be much rarer to find. So I can create 2 gypsum orbs. And then you'll also notice there's no scoring for gypsum. Gypsum is just something that you can do. There is no leveling that up. I then take the gypsum orbs, and I can create gypsum casts. These casts will automatically give me a epic level piece of... Well, actually, that's not true. A 500 or higher level piece of gear for whatever I choose. Now, in my particular case, let's take a quick look at my inventory. The only pieces that I do not have at 500 or higher are the amulet and the ring. So those are the 2 that I'm going to focus on here. And I'll talk about why in a minute. Why the level 500. Okay, so amulet is first. And you can only create one cast of each type of gear per day, which means it's going to be a daily grind to collect gypsum, turn it into orbs, and then create the necessary casts. Alright, so amulet and ring. Okay, now we take these casts, open them up. Another uncommon old ring of 522. And an old amulet of 519. Now, the amulet might be worth it, seeing at... Oh, it's an intelligence one. I'm not a magic user. I've been getting some, unfortunately, really bad cast rolls. And then the ring is Constitution and Focus. Same exact problem. So, I'm actually going to salvage both of these. But that's how you can get higher level gear. Now you'll see, they're all 500 level or higher. They are also raising my average expertise for each of those areas. So my expertise for the amulet is now at 519, the ring is at 522, and the old earring is at 517. That tells the kiln what is the minimum gear score to output from these casts. Is based on that expertise level. And once you hit gear score 500 as an average, the expertise becomes part of your overall set of stats, and you will also, whenever you work against level 55 or higher dungeons, enemies, and so on, you'll also upgrade randomly, very randomly, a piece of gear's expertise, which of course then helps you at the kiln. Now, one other thing to keep in mind. Once you hit level 500, you also have the ability to upgrade the gear score using another material that you also can't find until you get to these higher levels. So, hopefully you're taking away from this that hey, look, there's a lot of stuff to explore. There's a lot of stuff to do in those first 50 levels. I'm learning a lot. I'm venturing all over the map. I'm having a great time. But this now tells you that even once you get to level 55 and up, once you get to gear score 500 and up, there's still a lot to do. You can't even go to Brightstone Sands until you get to level 60. So there's still so much to do. I've gone into Brightstone Sands at level 60. I haven't done a damn thing in there yet. Hopefully that's coming soon for me. Still a lot is available to do. Hopefully this helped you out. I'm having such a great time with this game. I love almost everything that Amazon Games has done, but the way that they have made this organized, easy to find, intuitive, and they give you all of the information. You just gotta read it. And I know that's not something that everybody wants to do in an MMO, but they give you the necessary data that you need to build the best character based on what your playstyle is, what weapons you want to use, what magic you want to use, and even what gear you want to use to some degree. I've been very, very unlucky. I did not get a full set of light gear, so I've had to run medium and heavy gear, which has been fine. I've actually learned how to manage it very, very well. But there are a number of streamers out there right now, content creators, who will not run without full light gear. And they will run at very low gear score levels in order to maintain that because they want the ability to roll, which is what the light gear gives them. I don't care. I don't care. I'm more of a DPS guy. I'm more of a tank, so I tend to stand up against everybody and just take them on and use my shield and absorb the damage or make sure that I got plenty of health potions to handle it. So again, I hope that this was valuable to you. I hope you got something from it. And if you did, please make sure to hit the like button. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button. There's going to be more content coming. I've got a lot of ideas for New World. I'm really enjoying this game, and I hope to put some more video content for you together soon. Talk to you soon.